has been bred into their molecular structure.
Yeah.
I'm sure that every one of you would be well acquainted with that.
Amen. Amen.
We have 12 hard workers who have spent a day in labor. And as a reward for their work, the foreman calls them to the fence line. And he points just across at the vast horizon where those rows seem to never end.
Yeah.
And he says, what a huge harvest. Where should we start?
Yeah.
Now, you and I, as well as they, would be prone to find the nearest tool and to get to work.
Well, yeah.
But God's ways are contrary to our ways. Who has known the mind of the Lord? Or who hath been his counselor? Or who hath first instructed him? Jesus says, first things first.
Yeah.
Pray for laborers. We know that Jesus gave the Great Commission, go into all the world and preach the gospel. And our natural inclination would be to implement a program, to select a committee, a pulpit committee, and we would need to establish a place where we could meet. And pretty soon we're so distracted with the details we've forgotten the work. Jesus said, go into all the world and preach the gospel, but tarry in Jerusalem until you're endued with power from on high.
You got to have power. Come on out. Yeah.
Because Jesus knows that we're likely to put our work for God ahead of our walk with God. I wonder how many of us are prone to believe that God's hands are tied until we're thoroughly up in the morning and about our business. Thinking we must be busy rescuing some poor soul from the error of his ways. And truly, we only smell like gunpowder and lead.
All right.
Jesus said, you want to make a difference in the world around you? Pray.
Yeah. All right.
Now we can guilt or terrorize a man into believing. But that is not the work of God. That's the work of human expediency. It's much quicker to guilt a man into making a commitment to Jesus Christ than it is to love him into those everlasting lives. Because love is a messy and a complicated thing. Because love insists that I become personally involved in an individual's life. If we want to convince an individual of some certainty, we may frighten them into agreeing to it. We might preach hellfire and produce terror. As long as we dominate that soul, we feel well justified. But to call that God's method is a travesty of God's revelation of his love expressed in the person of Jesus Christ. The methods that God uses to win a world is indicated in the person of Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ never terrorized anybody. Modern evangelism makes this mistake of thinking that a man must plow the field, that he must sow the seed, and he must reap the harvest in a matter of half an hour. Jesus was never in a hurry. He kept planting that seed. With those disciples over a period of years, he kept planting that seed. And he paid no attention to whether they understood him or not. He didn't plant that seed and dig it up to figure out its progress. He planted that seed and he left it alone because he believed that that seed had in it all the germinating power of God to produce fruit after its time. Jesus lived in constant communion with God. And by doing so, he produced the right atmosphere for that seed to germinate.